In this episode, we'll check out another 20 names that we think you should strongly consider drafting at the back end of your fantasy basketball drafts. Let's chat late round flyers. Let's go and win some leagues. G'day guys, I'm D-Mac from NBA Fantasy Bible. Joining me again is Matty G. How are you, mate?
Look, I love a sequel or a two-parter because we just like to talk basketball. And I love more blokes, 20 guys that we can put on our radars in fantasy basketball. Those late slippers, the late round flyers that we can get some out of in our final rounds.
Bit of value in the final rounds, bit of value for deeper leagues as well. And if you haven't already, make sure you go and check it out. Love your Transformers mug, by the way, Matty G.
Thank you. Shout out to
let's
Adem
get
King.
straight. Adam King's part of that. Yeah, let's get straight into it. Yeah, make sure you go check out that first episode. We went through 24 names, 20 on schedule, and then we just, naturally we talk about other guys, but that's just what we do. We digress. But let's get stuck into the next 20 or so. I'm starting with Davion Mitchell of the Miami Heat. We know that Tyler Hero will start the season injured. Davion Mitchell, I think he starts at the point guard position, and I do like how he ended last season as well.
Oh yeah, look, I've got no problem with this. Again, I have done no research for this at all. Like you said, like Matty,
You're going in blind, mate. Yep.
I'm going in blind to these names because you were like, Matty, we're doing this at like the late round flyer show, and you sent me the list, and I was like, I'm not reading the list because I don't want to know all of them because there's guys, because we draft so much, that get some heat. Davion Mitchell was getting drafted late in drafts early in analyst drafts for a reason. He was getting a few minutes towards the end of last season. Then the Tyler Hero news came out. This guy should be on your radar. There is no way, shape, or form that he shouldn't be. We've just done a 14 teams, 10 player mock draft. So 140 players. And I think Davion Mitchell went off on the second last round. So this is in the 120. This was the second last round. So 120s, make sure you catch that recap of that show here on Believe as well. That was an absolute burner. But this guy is on the radar. He's going to be getting 30 minutes a night. He's a starting point guard. He might not get you a lot of points. He will get you steals. He will not be very efficient from the free throw line for a point guard. He is down. It's one of his areas of weakness. So again, like he's like an Isaiah Collier type, one could say, that we can pick up late in drafts. Those two guys in those Giannis punt free throw builds is something that I'm looking at.
Yeah, I'd probably trust Davion Mitchell a little bit more than Collier in terms of that efficiency. But yeah, back end of last season, Davion Mitchell really ascended for the Heat. There was a chance that he could have started anyway before the Tyler Hero news. But it's looking like it'll be Davion Mitchell, and Norman Powell should be there as well, and thereabouts. But yeah, great start to the season for Davion Mitchell. Make sure he is drafted in a 12-teamer. Getting straight 100%. Into the next one. One of your guys, I know you're hot on Dante. Hot on Dante DiVincenzo. Take us through your guy.
I'm Dante's personal inferno. This guy, I tell you what, I've been a big truther of him. I was drafting him everywhere last year in leagues. Now, when we said last episode, make sure you go back and check that out, like top 100 player. Oh, Matty, he was only the bloody fifth best player. Like you said, he was top 100. I'm like, was I wrong? No, like what are you expecting? What are you expecting me to say? Like, is he going to be like top 80 player? Yeah, he very well could be at stretches. I absolutely love this bloke's outlook. Put it up there on the screen again. His ADP range right now, 171 for hoop heads. I do not understand on Fantrax. That is absolute juice for me on Fantrax. And we know it's an app used and a platform that's used by guys and gals who love fantasy basketball. And to see him going there the least, that's the most use you can get out of him is on Fantrax. At Yahoo, great. There's still a couple of rounds of value there. On ESPN, couple of rounds of value there. I actually think the Minnesota Timberwolves are a really sneaky shout. Again, I'm putting even guys like Jaden McDaniels, who came back towards the end of last year as well. We've got to think about the last stretch of the season. And I think about like the last 3 months of last year where Julius Randle and everyone was kind of coalescing together. Jaden McDaniels was a top 50 player. Dante DiVincenzo was a top 75 player. So those are guys who are going, for me, under the radar in drafts. Dante, right there. Love it. Enough said. Get him in your freaking roster, man. Get him in your roster.
Team. And I think they'll look to deprioritize Mike Conley as well. He's just an aging 100%. Guy. looking to slow down. So Dante DiVincenzo, he was a top 50 or 60 guy a couple of seasons ago for the Knicks as well.
Yeah.
So I think he
that
can
was
replicate
insane.
that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Another
look,
guy
there's
that
no reason he can't be top 75. At the end of the day, he's an absolute top 75 possible outlier, top 100 guy at the end of the day. He's a get.
Yeah, and I think another get and a guy that you're hot on. We often talk about these two in tandem, Dante DiVincenzo, but Brandin Podziemski of the Golden State Warriors.
Yeah, it just goes under the radar because he's Brandin Podziemski, because he's not Steph Curry, and he's not now Jimmy Butler, and he's not Draymond Green, and so he suffers from the affliction of like the I call these guys the understudies. Like, who are the guys who are the understudies in their team? Now, the thing is that this means that he is being drafted. People are aware of him. So with Pods being at 147, the most value there, and just in the final rounds, you can see that last round flyer like being taken on him. But the thing is this, he is possibly, at the end of the day, a top 100 guy again. And so again, and how many top 100 guys can you have, Matty? Well, 100.
Let me do quick maths. Yeah, done.
I can have 100. This guy could be maybe top 110. The fact that he's going in the last round, let's put him on our radars in the one. Don't take too much juice out of it. 120s, 130s where he's sitting, but maybe just advance of the last round so you don't miss out on the guy who could get you like 12 points a game, 5 rebounds, a steal, 3 assists, and pretty reasonable percentages as well.
Yeah, we're not really sure what's going on with the Jonathan Kuminga situation as well, and whether or not he's traded away. Yeah, I think he's out the door, but if anything comes back, how's that going to impact Brandin Podziemski?
Yep.
We'll wait and see, but at this stage, we're looking at him at the back end of 12-teamers, definitely in 14-teamers.
And Steve and Kerr likes him. Kerr knows he's put him through the same paces as Kuminga, as Moody, and Kerr's decided that Moody and Pods are his guys, and Kuminga isn't.
And I think there was some high-profile trades that didn't happen because they really wanted to retain Podziemski. I think back to Larry Markkinen as well. So whether that was the right decision remains to be seen. But yeah, they really rate him quite highly. Now, a guy that I rate really highly coming into this season, coming off of somewhat of an injury-ravaged season last season, Herb Jones, New Orleans Pelicans. There's a lot of talent back on that team. They're healthy. They're firing. They also have young Jordan Poole on the squad.
Young pool party. Look, man, I don't know. I don't want to say top 100 guy because I feel like it's like, how many top 100 guys? But look, you tell me, like, this is a guy who was, and like, look again, we're looking at guys who are going undrafted here. In Fantrax, he's being undrafted, and I just had a choice of drafting him or not. I already had filled my center with a flyer pick with someone who we mentioned in the other episode. Make sure you check that. The link will be below in both of these episodes. We had Kyle Filipowski. I was going to do Herbie. I call him Herbie the Love Pell. Shout out to Herbie the Love Bug. But Herbie the Love Pell or Filipowski. I took Filipowski just for the upside. And I don't usually do upsides on my second last, especially when there's like set formats, no reserve spots. I'm pretty like, but I gave Herb a good think. I love Herb. I think the Pelicans, you said, are healthy. But since we've seen him play, we have seen the onset of guys like Misi really come into there. We've got a healthy Zion. I think Herb plays. I think he is a 100, 110-ish guy at the end of the day. And getting him late in drafts is a steal, and definitely feels like. Unfortunately, he no longer has center eligibility though because of Yves Missi, which is the thing that I really loved about him when he was healthy last season. He did have center eligibility because they were going to play him as a small ball 5, and with them getting guys like Makovic in the lineup and Missi, it has taken away his eligibility at the center spot. So don't draft him. Still thinking you can get him center eligible.
Yeah, I'm hot on Herb Jones. I'm pretty sure that I drafted him in that same draft that you're speaking of. I think
You did.
Yeah, ended up on my roster, and I'm big on him in category leagues. He's not as effective in points leagues for those that are watching. Thank you for watching as well. But yeah, category leagues, you need that. If you need steals, he's your go-to guy, and I think he plays some good minutes alongside of Zion, Trey Murphy, and the likes at the Pelicans. So love Herb Jones this season. Getting into the next one, we're going through a few Wizards, starting with Bub Carrington. ADP of 141 on Yahoo. But look at that Fantrax, 234.
Oh my gosh.
That's pretty obscene. I know that he was really disappointing in his rookie season last season, but no Jordan Poole. We spoke of Jordan Poole just then. No Jordan Poole now. Does that help him?
There's a guy called CJ McCollum, an incumbent point guard who is much maligned in fantasy. I think we can even put. Can you take me through all your Wizards on this list? Just give me all your Washington guys, because
Cam and Keon is another guy that I love.
Stop drinking the Matty G Kool-Aid. He's a beautiful, beautiful bastard. Of all of those guys, you know how high I am on Cam Whitmore this season.
Oh, yeah.
I am scooping. My last round guys are Cam Whitmore, DeAndre Hunter. There's my playbook for you, kids. In my last rounds, like, this is a guy who I'm picking up. The fact that I am seeing, and we do a lot of, and this is the thing, I probably need to draft more on Yahoo and ESPN. I probably need to do that just for my own skill set, because I do so many of these, and you do so many of these, and we do so many of these on fan tracks. I just get the guys that I want. But the thing is, again, we're doing a lot of these as industry mocks, and I'm still getting these two guys. And in fact, you were like, in the last round, I could literally read out our text messages like, I want to get DeAndre Hunter. And I'm like saying, you're an idiot. Don't do that. You need to fill a center spot because it's a 2-center league. Take the Bona. Like, get that one
I
up.
took the Bona. I had to.
You took the Bona. You had to. You did. And we'll talk about him a little bit later, obviously. But that's the point. Like, these guys are around. And I think Cam Whitmore, of him and DeAndre Hunter, like who we mentioned in the last episode as well, they're like really good gets. So he's on my radar. And if you don't get him, you get Cason George. It's a really good look to get Cason. He had a really good role last year. He was definitely a rosterable player. So we look to draft guys who we know we can get rosterable. And we know that Koulibaly is only going to miss about 2 to 3 weeks potentially. So the injuries, the Koulibaly, again, like we said, temper your injury expectations. That's always key as well. But guys like Kispert, they fall down the line. Bub Carrington, I see why the chub for Bub is not an Adem Bona.
I like it.
Yeah. I can like it. But I liked Koulibaly maybe as a flyer later in deep leagues for some things. I call him the East Coast Cooler. Shout out to the West Coast Cooler, being you over there in Perth. But look, there's a lot of opportunity for some guys this year because they are the Washington Wizards. And I think we all know at the end of the day that at the end of it, the main person that's getting drafted is Alex Sarr. And then pretty much the rest of it all falls down the radar. For me, the number 2 option in fantasy is Cam Whitmore.
Yeah, big call, because I'm quite hot on CJ McCollum, but Cam Whitmore is an interesting one. I don't know if he starts, but we know that he's just...
You're hot for point guards.
I am. Everyone knows that I love point guards.
You look at them like the Ana de Aramis. You're like, oh, there's an injured point guard in the draft. You're like just ripping off your glasses like Superman. Like, hey, I can fly. I can fly and use laser beams from my eyes. You're like, you rip off like this. It's like, hey, can I buy you a drink at the bar? Your name's Tyler. Is that right? My name's D-Mac. Like, it's like, you're injured. Oh, tell me about it. Let me fix you on my roster. Like, that's your
That's my playbook. You'll talk about your playbook. As your playbook. That's my playbook. I love those injured point guards. But yeah, some value there. Bilal Coulibaly is another name that you mentioned. He's definitely gone off the radar because of the injury. Yep. But you said it, 2 to 3 weeks now, revised timeline. Is he another guy that we're sleeping on, or is he another flyer pick perhaps? Because he's going to
start. Do I give my playbook for him? Do I give my cooler? Do I give my East Coast Cooler playbook for this? I think you can get away with not drafting Coulibaly in your league. I think at this point you can get away with not doing it. And what I think you do, especially if you've got 3 IR spots and you haven't drafted, if you have not drafted an injured player in your draft day, go straight to your waiver wire, pick up Coulibaly, stash him in IR immediately, especially if you got 3 spots. And everyone's going to be like, he comes back in a couple of weeks and he's like, oh, Coulibaly's getting 2 steals a game and playing okay. What's going on? Who's got him? And then all of a sudden you realize that D-Mac and Matty G already had him on our rosters 2 weeks ago.
Yep.
And
don't forget, start of last season, he was as hot as anyone. I know he really tapered off and the efficiency was of concern, but I remember he just couldn't miss a shot. He was outstanding. He was the next coming of Michael Jordan. But finished.
And the good thing as well is he underwhelmed at Eurobasket. So what are you doing? You're stashing an IR spot. You're making a roster move that you can make in your first week. You don't care if you really win or lose your first week. There's a couple of 2 game teams and all the rest of it. But you're making a move that could make you an MVP. Like, it's an MVP move at the end of the day. It's a move that you can do. That
MVP move. And I love that segue, mate. I love it
There you
because
go.
we're talking about MVPs. If you'd like
Yeah.
to support the Believe in Fantasy Basketball channel, consider becoming an MVP community
No,
member.
don't stop. No, D-Mac, stop there. No, don't consider. Do it.
Just do it.
Do it.
Just
do it because D-Mac's going to run this beautiful little tapering thing across the bottom of your video
Look
screen.
at that ticker. Look at that.
Look at the ticker going across the bottom of the video screen. And if you can't see the ticker because you're listening to us on your audio platform, right now what's happening is that the smooth, dulcet tones of my voice is convincing you to click on any relatable link below and become an MVP member where you'll get direct access to ASMR. I mean, you'll get direct access to ASMR.
Tingles.
No, you get basically to the analytics experts in fantasy basketball. Our pool, I believe, is growing by the day. We have the biggest and deepest resource of analysts that you can get personal connections to on our Discord and our premium services. All you need to do is just jump on to the links. They're below, and it's easy. You can do that. And if you're driving, don't do it, but just leave your podcast open and then do it when you stop driving. And you, by the way, the bananas that you want, you should eat those. Don't make banana bread.
Make sure you visit believeinfantasy.com. Thank you very much. We're going to get to the next guy, Cason Wallace.
Oh, yeah.
Was it Yahoo? He was in the top 20 ranked when they initially had their rankings, which is pretty crazy, but I still think he's a fly pick.
Yeah, he is 100% a fly pick because this is Cason Wallace's skill set. Cason Wallace is really good because he plays basketball. Like, he's going to be getting about 25, 20, between 20. Again, I look for guys who are getting between 25 and 30 minutes a night. Now, if he lands bang in the middle of that, cool. But what's he going to get you? He's going to get you maybe 2 threes, maybe 8 to 10 points a game, no more than that. But he's going to be getting you on excellent percentages. He generally doesn't take shots that he doesn't make, if that makes sense. Like, he doesn't like, you know how there's like Cam Johnson. I like Cam Johnson. I also like Cam Thomas to a point. But Cam Thomas has never met a shot that he doesn't like. And I know that's a false narrative, and he doesn't like us talking about how there's false narratives about Cameron. But the case on Wallace is that he's a really good team player, and he fits in the rotation at OKC incredibly well. He is almost the underachiever because other guys like Lou Dort and Alex Caruso get the shine as those extra additional players because they've been in the league for a lot longer. Cason Wallace, on the other hand, can still get you probably better field like percentages than those guys from the floor. And he can get you more steals, and he's a willing passer. So you're getting the same thing from him, and you're getting a guy who could be ultimately, now I'm not going to say top 100, but he can be a top 100, top 120 player who's being undrafted in some spots as well. And that's a great get for a championship defending team who's probably going to rest their guys a little bit, you'd say, D-Mac, this year, and get Cason some more run.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. They're not an old team. They're still a young team, definitely in their prime. But I think they just know how to manage their guys, and having more minutes of Cason Wallace, defensive maestro, they all are. Let's be honest. They're all defensive juggernauts, every single one of them. But he's just another one of the pack. Yeah, they're a very impressive team. So it wouldn't surprise me if there were more days off for SGA and the likes. Yeah, very impressive. He's probably more for a 14, maybe even a 16 teamer. I don't think I would personally look at him in a 12 teamer, even at back end. But I can see the appeal, but I'd probably stay away unless it was a 14 teamer.
Yeah, he definitely fits the specialist category of guys like last year when people were like, oh, Dyson Daniels is a specialist. Dyson Daniels is a specialist. The thing is with the Atlanta Hawks, there was no one else to be a specialist apart from Dyson Daniels. So they needed to lean on him a lot more, especially with the departure of Jalen Johnson through injury. You can't say that about OKC because of how deep the team really is. Like, if you think about it, like, these guys are just stupid. Like this, I mean, I love OKC because this is the thing about, there's an OKC rant that I'll just do a podcast on. I'll just drop it like, this is my thoughts on OKC because I wanted them to lose last year. I wanted them to lose because I love the Pacers' hunger so much more. And Tyrese Halliburton's journey of being injured and then playing through injury just to be back and then playing that game and then to go out was incredible. And he started off game 7. Like game 4 was lost. But like the Pacers lost the NBA championship in game 4 when they had to win and they threw it away like they did. And you've heard me say this before, like you've read the text that I said about it. But by the end of that, like that series, I was rooting for the Pacers because of just the but I love OKC because of their camaraderie. And look, I actually think My big thing is we all spoke about how did Marcus Smart feel when the Celtics won like the championship the year after he left? Well, how did Josh Giddey feel the year after he left that OKC won? Because I know that he was tenured to a lot of those guys, but look, their roster is Shea, Williams, Chet, Hartenstein, Wallace, Caruso, Dort, and then you've got guys who don't even get talked about, like freaking Aaron Wiggins, man. Like they are so incredibly deep, and they'll be deep for a lot of years to come, even with their new salary cap. So love it.
Absolutely. Speaking of deep, Adem Bona.
Yep, there you go.
Goes deep.
Good segue.
Goes deep. ADP.
Love it.
Yahoo 138, ESPN 140. Fantrax again, off the mark a little bit, 478. Nice handcuff for Embiid. If you are concerned about Embiid, and he is looking good, but again, this is all on social media. If you're concerned about Embiid at the start of the season or even throughout the season, Adem Bona is an option.
I'm allowed to share our personal text messages, not just the photos that we send each other, right?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Speaking of.
Here we go. Here we go. Talking about Adems. Taking some pictures of some Adems in my time. Here we go. Nice. I'm thinking about my last. Let me read it in a tone of prose for you. I'm thinking about my last pick in Dan's. Shout out to you, Dan Bezos. Mock. Ha. DeJounte and Kyrie are right there. Yes, I know. Looking at you like you're there sitting there at the bar.
I get an Adem for those injured point guards.
You just see them sitting there just swirling their drink around, looking like they've had a rough night at the bar, and you're like, "G'day, Kyrie. My name's D-Mac. How are you, mate?" But his league setting says no IR. Ha ha. I need another center, but they're all a bit rubbish. Let me look.
I did say that.
You did say that. I'm like, let me look. And within 30 seconds, I'm like, Bona, for sure. Was thinking Bona or Diabate. And then
I didn't realize you were talking about the player. I just thought
I wasn't, followed by the photo that I can't show on this podcast. But then you say Kyrie though, and you're literally giving me this. I can't make it clear. You're literally doing a crying eyes emoji that you can't draft Kyrie with your last pick in a place where you can't stash him and you have no place to put him, and you have a second spot open in your sentence.
It's a mock. It's a mock as well. How serious
draft.
do we get about a mock?
Apparently, you're crying about Kyrie Irving, and I'm like, I mean, just shut up and draft Bona. You have 2 injured guards already. Why would you add a third to that insanity? Yes, but I like Hunter and I need a center, but I'll just get a Bona alert. And you have. Yeah. And that's because the conversation should not even be had for that long. You should be drafting this guy, especially in Fantrax, if he is down off your menu. The fact that Yahoo and ESPN have him there, and we know, again, this is our last pick. We draft Adem. We put him into our lineup. So we see what happens with Embiid. We let him go back into the ocean if we don't need him. And otherwise, this is a top 50 guy from the finishing your last season. So we use him and then we let him go. Easy.
Yep. Speaking of Philadelphia 76ers, VJ Edgecombe, rookie. Now, again,
I just got an Adem.
Over VJ. A lot of his value could be related to some of the health issues or risk you think. Obviously, Embiid, Paul George as well. VJ Edgecombe, very exciting, but is he going to be worthy of a standard league roster spot?
I just can't believe we've spoken about Adems and then VJs. Yeah, look, I'm sure we love giving a good VJ out there, and look, I really like his outlook. The Quentin, this is the really interesting thing. The other Philadelphia situation right now, and some of the latest news is the Jared McCain injury news. So let's just talk about that for a second. For me, it is the injury news to him that's probably the most concerning that we need to be looking at. And for me, it's really the fact that Quentin Grimes hasn't been re-signed. That's been a stealing point because of, Jared McCain coming back. I think that was part of the reason why Philadelphia hadn't done that, is because there was still we've got Jared, he's coming back from injury, and now Jared McCain is out for a while. So we look at this and we kind of need to be really sure that we can use these guys. And VJ Edgecombe, I think he has the durability to be able to get in there and plug and play. And we want that from our guys. And I think he has a ramp, especially at the beginning of the season, to get a few little extra minutes. The Paul George thing is much of a muchness, but I do think there is a role for this guy. And I love his motor. Like, I once watched a video on this bloke's story about how, like, his mum, they basically didn't have electricity at their house, and basketball was his outlet. Give me a hungry basketball player any day of the week. And I fell in love with VJ Edgecombe. I'm like, give me all of the Edgecombe stock moving forward. VJ Edgecombe is kind of like my Jalen Williams of this year in the draft. There you go. Jared McCain is out for like about 6 weeks at least. VJ Edgecombe has come up my radar because of that. He is probably no more than a top 200 player at the end of the day, but he could excel that. But I'm going to take a last round flyer on him, see if he gets dual eligibility into the small forward spot with Paul George being out at the beginning of the season and seeing what they do. Because if they re-sign Grimes and your starting lineup becomes him at the small forward spot, he becomes dual eligible. I really like that. But you've got other guys around there in this team, like Kelly Oubre, who's not even being drafted right now, who's going to get an early season bump. And we're not talking about maybe Kelly Oubre enough. And other guys like Trendon Watford on this team at the power forward spot could be getting a run. I do think there is a little bit of juice in Philadelphia this year. I just think we need to see how it plays out for a team that wants to be competitive to really make up for the shambles that was last year.
Yeah, a lot of it's going to revolve around, obviously, Embiid. And a lot of people are discussing Embiid, even in fantasy circles, how early is too early. And yeah, I think a lot of it is to do with the social media. And he is looking fitter than ever, which is great. But I'm still very hesitant about touching him. But we digress. We're talking about our flyer picks, unless you're considering Embiid as a flyer pick. Now, a flyer pick here is Mitch Robinson of the New York Knicks. There was some footage of him scrimmaging with the team, and he was wearing the same color as the other.
He was wearing the starter's uniform. Yep.
And it's looking like he was going to start anyway. There was a lot of that discussion around him starting alongside of Cat in the front court. I think it makes sense. That's going to move Josh Hart to the bench, which is disappointing for those that are in love with Josh Hart. And we loved him last season. He was fantastic.
We did this in the last one. I think every now and then we need to have a little bit of a look. Here we go. Let me go Hart. No, was it sports? Because Josh Hart for Sixth Man of the Year, this is the really thing. I was really high on Josh Hart, not last season, the season before, just when he signed that extension. And he did not return what I wanted him to. And I've always been a Josh Hart truther. Like, out of position rebounds, this guy is like your GOAT. Like, he can average a triple-double almost. And he almost did last year. He was one of the absolute flyers. So when we do like the lens, like, who's going to be the Josh Hart of this year? Well, not Josh Hart, because he's already been that. But I think that have you got anyone else in the Knicks there? Is Jeremy Clarkson even as a ride and die making the list from the Knicks?
Jordan Clarkson is not on this list. No, he's not.
Jordan Clarkson for me is a really interesting last round flyer just because of the amount of points you can get from them. And in New York, the other guy I always think is Miles McBride. I think he can take a bit of a step up this year and space the floor a little bit more for the Knicks. So there is a little bit of value in these guys. I don't see them being there, but I think Yabusele even gets a run. But Robinson being confirmed basically now as the starter, like, you've got, like, this is good value for him. He is being almost undrafted. Like, he's like the last center on the line. I know Adam King has been high on him for a while. You know that I picked him up for like the last month in draft with my last pick. And then I continue getting you swear at me in text messages when I have been doing so. And I think that's going to start to really go away. The only thing is, obviously, always cautious of his injury history and how many games does he play.
Yeah, that's always going to be of concern for Mitch Rob. It has been since the get-go from his rookie season as well. But again, late round flyer, it doesn't really matter because we always talk about you start streaming. These are the guys that you're probably not going to have come end of season. So again, low risk, potentially high reward. But
now, if they have a good season,
odds, aren't you?
I am. I'm trying to figure out. To be honest, this is actually crazy. Josh Hart is not even on the list of guys right now in the Sixth Man of the Year. Miles McBride is ahead of him. So now at that news right now, I am looking to see that the second that guy gets done, is it. Like, I'm almost there. I'm almost on it right now. Like,
I think we just need confirmation that he will come off the bench, and then he will be in those markets. Which, keep an eye out for that. Side note: fantasy basketball. Here's some sports betting for you. Let's go to a couple of Hornets. Rookie Con Kneppel What are your thoughts on the rookie here? Late round
Love the
flyer or just let's avoid him?
Love the Knips. Love the Knips. I think there's a role for him in Charlotte this year, and I can absolutely see that returning some value back at the day. We just need to see his role play out. We know he was a Summer League MVP, and there is a little bit of other juice around these guys. We've got guys like off the radar like Grant Williams and Colin Sexton, even, who could be getting a bit of minutes.
Did you say Colin Sexton? There we go.
Did I say? I said. Did you? Have you got Kalkbrenner in there as well?
I do have Kalkbrenner. We're going to talk about Kalkbrenner later on.
I'm talking. This is why I don't want to see the list. This is my thing. Like Kalkbrenner. This is what I'm talking about. We've got.
Is there another guy?
Hang on,
Musa
Diabate.
Yeah.
Diabate. There we go. You've got Diabate and Kalkbrenner and Knipple and Sexton and Williams because
I hesitated putting Plumlee in, and there's probably a chance that Plumlee does start, but I just don't think he's going to be a must roster guy. But that's why I've got both Diabate and Kalkbrenner. But going back to the smaller guys, Colin Sexton, you did show some interest in him earlier in the preseason.
Yeah, and I still do, because if at the end of the day, if I need a point guard late who's going to be able to get me like 12 points a game, 3 assists, do it on pretty great percentages. Also, the thing I love about Sexton is he's a very highly attacking point guard. So he will get to the rim, and he's a really elite free throw shooter. Like he's +8. He's around 830, 850. And he'll get to the free throw line out 3 times a game. Now, if he does that in the back-to-back set, he can really help to juice you up and you build a little bit with your free throw percentage and help change that in the right direction for you. You do not get that too late in drafts. It's just an absolute fluff piece. He may not add anything else by way of defensive stats. He can get you some steals, but if he can get me a couple threes a game, let's say 12 points, maybe a couple of rebounds and 4 assists, I'm all in for that. But he's actually pretty efficient from the field as well. Like he's not one of these. We have this illusion that he's a sub 450 guy. He's actually closer to the 500s than we think. You're like, just go and check his stuff. And you have a look at that in his time in Utah. And you're like, wait a second, Matty, no, he's really inefficient. Oh no, he's not. He has been inefficient in his past earlier in Cleveland, but he's actually shown a lot of improvement over time with his field goal percentage. And in fact, last year, if I'm looking it up really quickly, he was 480 from the field last year. And so this is a guy who is a 480 like from the floor guy, 460 last year from the line, and he won't have the load that he had in Utah. Fair, but he is an absolute stream option down the line, and in deeper leagues, he is there for me as well.
Who do you think starts between Knipple and Sexton? Because you've also got Trey Mann there. You've got Josh Green. Yeah, you think Knipple will start?
I think Knipple, absolutely. I think Knipple's the actual guy who does it 100%. And I think that's the piece that they were looking for, that they wanted on the Dalton Connect trade last year with the Lakers that didn't go through. I think they wanted his archetype, and they basically got him for free in the draft instead of having to lose Mark Williams, who they lost anyway, funnily enough. But they, I think this is the piece that they wanted, and they have it by the name of yeah. I think it's Knipple. I think it's Knipple. I think Knipple starts. I think they give their draft pick opening day to start, and I think Sexton comes off the bench.
Okay. Both considerations anyway in deeper leagues. Another guy that I know that I'm pretty sure that you drafted in a mock draft, Ty Jerome later.
Yeah.
It was a 14-teamer, I think.
Yeah, it was a 14-teamer, and we were pretty deep. I think that was a 14-team draft, 4-team spots, and I drafted him really late. Look, Ty Jerome is great. I loved him last year. He was obviously a 6-man of the year kind of guy. He was an absolute spark plug in Cleveland. He goes to the Memphis Grizzlies. We do have Scottie Pippen Jr. there, which I'm a little bit less. He's a top 150 player for me for this year coming up. But with Scottie Pippen Jr. there, I think they split the minutes a little bit between them. But yeah, Ty Jerome also gets some good shooting guard run. And so I'm really curious to see if they use him as almost a starting Desmond Bane. That's what I'm curious. I was going to mention
Desmond Bane. There is some usage to be had. So could Ty Jerome play that role? We haven't seen it really come to fruition, but there is an opportunity there.
Yeah, there is. And that could be like a guy that Ty's on my radar. I just need to see it, and I need to see a starting lineup because I think KCP gets the small forward spot. So for me, like, let's just say opening night right now, obviously with the injuries to the Memphis Grizzlies, we've got Ja Morant, point guard, that's a lock. We've got Santi Aldama. Let's just say that's their power forward or their center. So let's just take one of the two at the 4 and the 5. I then think we see Ty Jerome maybe at the 2, KCP at the 3. And then I'm really curious to see who else plugs into that lineup. I mean, are you not curious to see who they plug in there for me?
I think Jalen Wells going into his sophomore season. I think he's got a decent, and I was going to mention him as well. I like Jalen Wells. He's just not, for fantasy purposes, probably not quite there. I think he's a better real life player than he is fantasy player. So I think he'll start, and I think they love what he does.
I'm curious to see. This is my crazy. You want to hear my crazy lineup? GG Jackson could be in that as the power forward if Santi Aldama starts. So I've got Vince Williams could be maybe the starting shooting guard if it's not Ty Jerome. So that's my 2 interchangeables there for them. Maybe it's Vince, maybe it's not. My crazy lineup is Australia's Jock Landau as the center. And then Santi Aldama at the power forward to stretch. They can both stretch the floor, which is something that a very highly aggressive point guard like Jar can actually benefit from. Something that Jaren Jackson Jr. does is stretch the floor in Memphis. So think about the stretchability options of these guys out. If Jock starts just randomly a really deep cut in deep leagues, then Santi goes power forward. And then to the small forward spot, you've got KCP, Ty Jerome as a shooting guard, small forward for the defensive and the defense. To give a similar Bane feel, then we can get some more juice from that. And that's what the lineup that I'm really curious to see if they roll out there, because in my head, that's the one that I toy with. I'm like, maybe that's what keeps me up at night.
Yeah, I could see Jock starting whilst some of the bigger guys. I'm just really looking forward to seeing Edie return. You know, we're both hot on Zach Edie, so hopefully he's not sidelined for too much longer. Couple more names to get through. We sort of brushed over Moussa Diabate and Kalkbrenner as well, Ryan Kalkbrenner. Who do you think starts between the two? Or is it Plumlee to start the season and then it goes to one of these two later on?
As always with the Charlotte Hornets, it's a bit of a poop shoot. And I don't want to draft any of them right now until I know who starts. But the Charlotte starting center should be drafted. And when we know that name, we draft that name. And let's hope our drafts are in a couple of weeks' time after the media day and we get some official word on who they will be starting. Because whoever does get that roster spot is worth a roster look on your, especially if you need a center late, because all of these guys are going late, by the way. Like Plumlee is not even being drafted. Kalkbrenner, not really being drafted. Diabate,
unless your name is Adam King, and Adam King's been drafting him a lot. Loves Kalkbrenner.
Saw him at Summer League roll out there and just loved him. Thought he was great and mobile up and down the floor, which they need. And so like 100%. And I back Kingy's word on it. Like if he thinks he should start, sure, give him his day in court. But when we get the official word, that's what I want. I want the official word.
Yeah, another guy that's probably coming off the bench, but I think he probably needs to be playing a lot more than he is just to make the Kings a little bit better. Keon Ellis, I think they need him on the court more, and for whatever reason, they're not prioritizing him. I guess they've got those veterans on court, therefore Keon Ellis is sort of deprioritized, but I just do like his fantasy stats set.
Yeah, so do I. And like he gets you those defensive looks that you need from the point guard position. But they're just so like it's weird saying that Sacramento's deep, even though they lost De'Aaron Fox. But they've got like DeRozan and Levine, who's like, does good Levine things. And those will always be the guys off the board, which means Keegan Murray's been slept on. The guy who stretches the floor and like the unsung hero of the Sacramento Kings. But then it's because it's maligning guys like Schroeder and Monk and Keon Ellis. I think all of them are worth a look late. All of them are available late. And yeah, Keon Ellis, for me, I like his fantasy stats set, like you said, more than the rest, even though Schroeder, shout out Eurobasket MVP. I think Keon Ellis fits it a little bit better. But then again, Malik Monk just slots into that 6-man role, even though he was the starter last year and saw a lot of guys get an extra boost in value.
Yeah, I really liked Malik Monk last season, but he's really just fallen away. Dennis Schroeder's likely to start ahead of Malik Monk, and there's also talk of Malik Monk being traded away. So let's see how that all plays out. If Malik Monk does get traded, and depending on who does return, maybe that opens up more opportunity for Keon Ellis, but he probably needs someone like a DeRozan or Levine to be traded for him to really get 30 plus minutes every single night. But until then, he's just a late round flyer, hence why he's on the show. Now, last but not least, Zachary Ricochet, again at Eurobasket, but did not do much for France.
Yeah, France didn't do much. In fact, they were very underwhelming. A lot of their veterans, obviously Wemby didn't play in this tournament. Bilal Coulibaly was absolutely abysmal and underwhelming, and not a lot to report. Look, they've got a returning. Why he's going under the radar for a number one pick is the fact that and I've said this like openly, the Atlanta Hawks for me are the only team in fantasy basketball that could project for me right now as having their starting five is in the top 50 in NBA fantasy basketball come the end of the year. Like for me, they're the only team. If I look at their starting five, I've got Trae Young. I've got Dyson Daniels, again, just doing more of what he did last year. I've got a returning Jalen Johnson. I've got Kristaps Porzingis, and then I've got maybe a Kongwu if he starts beside KP. Like for me, I love the KP Okongwu combo. Like for me, and I've heard that's how it's gonna go this season. And Ricochet is like a sixth man, possibly off the bench. Now, if that is the five that they roll with, you're looking at guys who are going to deliver in fantasy basketball this year. So I don't know where he fits and has that upside when he is going to be to the side of that. I think he gets 30 minutes a night at best. And that's when KP plays. I think he gets a bump when he doesn't. There's flashes. There's genuine flashes for Ricochet, but we take a flyer. And then if he's not getting the minutes, we pick up someone who is. Simple.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see if they do pair Okongwu and KP together. I have actually heard other areas of the media saying that Ricochet will start. So that is something to watch as we approach opening night.
And I think that's where this is where the KP conversation has to be had. Like the KP conversation is, what are we doing with KP this year? And if KP is starting, then I see a Okongwu being the backup, and then I definitely see Ricochet being the other guy on the floor with them as a nice bit of a spacing. But if they were to go that ultimate lineup, I think that might be the lineup that they start, but I don't think it's the lineup they close with, if that makes sense. I think we see it close, especially with the defense that they need. I think KP and Okongwu provide that rim protection, that last line of defense for someone who is Trae Young at your guard spot.
That's our last name, Maddie. Thank you very much. We went through 40 names across 2 episodes while you knock off your own glasses. It was eye-popping. That's 20 plays in this one. I just come back to Adem Bona, so thank you very much. But yeah, hopefully you guys got some benefit out of this. There's always going to be more guys popping up. But that's our 40. Let us know what you think of those 40 in the comments. Let us know what you're doing, Maddie, at the moment. What are you working on, mate?
Mate, working on a bunch of content with you, and we have a bunch of content and some exciting new stuff coming in the works as well. Make sure you like and subscribe to All Things Believe. You can find me at Instagram and X and Blue Sky at NBAGWiz, and here on Believe and at Old Man Squad as well.
Yeah, make sure you give me a follow as well on X and over on YouTube. Make sure you check out Believe in Fantasy playlists. We've got mocks, we've got rankings, and we've got a lot of shenanigans coming from yourself and myself, Matty G. A lot of fun. Until next time, guys, thank you so much. Catch ya.
See you later.